Tam Wai Jia, thank you so much for being here. It really is such an honor and a dream come true. Firstly, there are so many titles, labels, accolades to your name, and I hope to uncover some of them today. I first came to know of you through this talk that you gave, where you mentioned rest without rehabilitation results in atrophy, and you were not just speaking about healing for the physical body, but for our emotional wounding, our psychological health, and that really was very impactful for me. You are an award-winning medical humanitarian doctor currently based in Tanzania. You're a keynote speaker, writer, and global health expert who has consulted for the World Health Organization and UNICEF to impact vulnerable communities. You're the founder and CEO of Kitesong Global, an international nonprofit that inspires youth to catalyze change. And most recently, ladies and gentlemen, she is a stand-up comedian with a sold-out show here in Singapore and playing as well in Australia. Thank you so much for being here.
Oh, Aiken, it's so much my pleasure. I mean, it feels surreal for me because a couple of months ago when I was in Tanzania, you reached out.
Yeah.
And I was excited to hear from you because likewise, I see you as somebody who's like a very out-of-the-box creator.
Oh.
And this trip back to Singapore wasn't even planned. So the fact that we can do this, it really feels special.
Yes. Yeah, exactly that. Speaking of out of the box, right? It's like when I curate sort of the guests for the show, I'm always looking for people who are doing things very differently. Because I want to go and find out why. But also, I love to find out the story and get to know the real person behind the big titles, the names and the accolades. Yeah, so we're going to uncover quite a bit of that today. But I really wanted to sort of give that introduction so that the audience will know how multifaceted you are and sort of the work that you've been doing.
Oh, thank you, Aiken.
Yes, so that was my version of the introduction. But is there anything that I missed out?
No, I think that's pretty good. Yeah, that's good.
Okay,
yeah.
So we're gonna.
I do the Chinese calligraphy thing, but that's just on the side.
Exactly, guys. She also does Chinese calligraphy, and not as a hobby, as in she sells it. Yes. You see her face. She don't want to. You're so humble. Also, yeah. So that's amazing. We'll get into a little bit more about that as well, and how you've put that gift out to the world. Yeah.
All by accident, you'll find out.
Okay, amazing. We're going to unpack some of these titles a bit. You're currently a humanitarian doctor based in Tanzania with your family. And prior to this, you were also basically all over the world. How did you go from Singaporean medical student to become a global humanitarian doctor?
Wow, Aiken, where do I even start? And I think what really changed my life was when I was 18, there was something called the Youth Expedition Project. And then the school kind of appointed me to lead a team of student leaders to Cambodia. And I think that was the first time I actually had an encounter with people in poverty. We were asked to stay over at a villager's house. So it was really a house on stilts. And it was made of rattan leaves and wood. And I remember that night we were supposed to have a village experience. That was the whole point of it. But then in the end, my classmate and I, together with this Cambodian girl, we ended up just crying through the night because I found out that this Cambodian girl, like me, her dream was to be a medical doctor. But then she told me, she said, this year the weather is so dry and there is nothing to farm. And because of that, my parents cannot send me to medical school. And I think that was such a sobering thought, such a sobering reality. And I think when I went back, I felt like my life was forever changed by that one moment. So after my A-levels, I decided that there was going to be a long break. And many of my friends were going for a grad trip and all that. And they asked me, do I want to join them? And for some reason, I said that I couldn't. And so I stayed back, and honestly, I didn't know what to do with so much time. How was it going to fill it up? So I started cold calling a lot of organizations, and every time I cold called, they would always ask me, what skills can you offer? And I'm like, nothing. I don't know what I can offer. I'm not accepted into medical school. I was just waiting. It was just a waiting period, right? But then one day I called this organization and I said, is there anything I can do at all? And they said, actually, we do have a children's home in Nepal, but we have a shortage of volunteers. I mean, the missionary parents there, the house parents could really do with some help, but there's just one problem. There are a lot of bomb blasts there at the moment and rioting. So we're not sure if you want to go? And at that time, I thought to myself, wow, this sounds really crazy. And honestly, I had no kind of worldview for that sort of situation. But all I knew was that I just kept asking my dad. And my dad is super, super Chinese, conservative, boomer.
Yeah.
And he's like, no. He's like, what are you thinking? Are you crazy?
Yeah.
And I was like, no, but dad. And we kept going back and forth. So it was like this dance. Every day after dinner, we like talk for an hour.
Yeah.
And he'd share his values and I'd share mine. And I knew I was on the losing end because he's my dad. And I hadn't even had a sleepover yet all my life.
Right.
So I'm like, I'm definitely going to lose.
Yeah.
But then one day my dad comes home and he is so bewildered. And by this time I have just been praying. I mean, I'm not sure. Like I know some people, have a very strong faith and then they go out and do humanitarian work. At that time I was like, I don't know. I don't know what I'm praying to or who, but I'm just going to pray that if it's meant for me to go, that I need a miracle. So my dad one day came home with super bewildered look on his face and he was like, Jia, I run a company and there are like 5 people. And one of those 5 people say that he knows a lady who runs a non-profit in Nepal and she's coming back in 2 weeks' time. And she says that if you go to Nepal, she'll look after you.
Oh, wow.
And she actually runs an anti-sex trafficking ministry in Nepal. She's Singaporean also, and she teaches people how to make soap so that they can leave the industry, the red light district. Right? And so 2 weeks later, I find myself in a dim sum place. And over dim sum, my dad bonded with this lady.
Yeah.
And he was like, okay, I'll let you go.
That's amazing.
Yeah. And I think that was the first time I had this experience of, what you think is impossible can be possible. Yeah. And that trip really cemented how I saw the world and where I think faith can take us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly that. Like when I read your story, I resonated all the more because my mom and I have been supporting a children's home
I know.
for like 13 years.
That is so cool, yeah.
And so when I saw the photos of you in Nepal, I was like, wow, this looks very familiar. What was that trip like and how did that sort of start to lay the foundations for where you are now?
Wow, that is so cool that you and your mom also have that history, right?
Yeah.
So, I mean, Nepal, it's so beautiful and so broken at the same time.
Yes.
And when I was there, honestly, I didn't know how I could contribute. Like I was just like a 姐姐, over there, and all I could do was to be with the children and learn of their stories, witness how the house parents really gave up their everything. Like they had come from very well-to-do families.
Right.
And then they had given up their entire lives just to watch these kids grow up.
Yeah.
And I'm like, if this is not love, I don't know what is. But one day, while I was with them, it was just so crazy that they received a call and they said that they had to be evicted. Okay. And I was like, whoa, like, wow, what does this mean? Like, I don't get it. And they're like, oh, this is very common. Like once a year, they'll get a phone call from the landlord. And because, there's a stigma on girls who are unwanted, so they would just get evicted. And I'm like, I don't understand. What do you mean? And before I knew it, like in the next couple of days, there was this huge pickup truck and all the girls from as young as 3-year-old to 12, they're all picking up their socks and underwear and just throwing it on this pickup truck. Everything was in disarray. They had to be disenrolled from school. And I remember just standing in the garden, like in front of this house. There's all this chaos unfolding around me, like unraveling. And all I could think of was, how can this be?
Yeah.
I felt like my whole world was shattered. That just the sheer injustice of it.
Yeah.
And I remember feeling like there was nothing I could do. And every night while I was sleeping with the girls, I would just like be in tears and I would just pray like, what am I supposed to do? Where's my part in this? I can't just do nothing. But I don't know what to do. I'm 18. I have no credentials. I have no money, to do anything. So I remember my stint passed. It was just a very short 6 weeks. And then the house parent dropped me off at the airport. And he said, thank you so much and bye. He dropped me and it was so dramatic. Like when he dropped me, I went in. I actually turned around and I ran to his van. And I said, is there anything I can do? Right? And he said, actually what we really need is a permanent home for the girls. And I said, wow, that would really solve everything, right? Then you would not be evicted year after year. And then there I am, flying back on a plane to my very comfortable condo with a pool and a gym and all these facilities. And I'm like, what am I to do, right? So I went back, and I remember on the plane back to Singapore, I started drawing these sketches, and it was really just a very simple story about a little girl who loves to fly kites. And as she's flying the kite string breaks, and eventually she finds it. And I went back, I remember it was so dramatic when I landed. I think the next day was my birthday. So I just brought all these sketches and I walked into this publisher's office. His contact was given to me by someone who knew the house parent. And then he looked at these sketches and he said, you know what? Like, I think there's something here. And the next week I brought back all my paintings and he was like, wow, these are really bad.
Oh.
But, if you can fix your painting, like, I would love to sponsor these and use them to fundraise, to build a home. He says, I think we can do it.
Yeah.
So in the next 3 months, I started teaching myself how to do watercolor painting. I mean, my paintings were really bad, Aiken.
Oh, really? Yeah.
Worse than, it's like...
He's so brutally honest.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I so appreciated it.
Yes.
I mean, better for someone to tell you're bad than to find out on a public platform, right?
Totally. And so you just started to hone that craft.
I just taught myself from the National Library. And then in the next 3 months, the book was published. And the following 3 months, without me doing anything. So that's how I know that it wasn't me.
Right.
It wasn't me, but it was this community of people who rallied around.
Amazing.
And in 6 months, over $100,000 was raised to build that home.
That's amazing.
And I think that, because I was so young, I was in such a vulnerable point in my life.
Yeah.
I felt that laid a foundation of what risk and faith meant.
Wow.
It laid this foundation of what approaching the impossible looked like for me.
Wow.
And it also gave me a very sturdy worldview of who I was, even though I felt I was really gawky and like just a depressed, awkward, young adult /teenager. But it helped me see that, I don't need to be someone to do something good in the world. All I need to do is to be a catalyst.
Right.
Then, in chemistry, we learn a catalyst is what? It's like, one of the definitions is like, it's small, right? And it stays unchanged. And I realized that, that actually has given me a very strong spiritual meaning in my life. Because a lot of times, things in the world, they change us.
Yeah.
But if you hold on to your values and stay unchanged like a catalyst, through the chemical reaction, you stay unchanged and you stay small. Because you're actually not the main ingredient. The main ingredient was what? The house parents, the children, the people who contributed the money. Who was I? I was just that little catalyst. And so that formed a really strong message in my life that you don't have to be someone big to dream big. All you need to do is just to be willing to do so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I so resonate with that, and my experience in Nepal was very, very similar as well.
Wow.
I went to my mom had this friend who is a house parent, and she would be sending money over to them, and I'll be like, hello, the orphanage is here. I've got no money. Why are you sending money to them?
I remember your story.
Yeah. But then one day as well, I just felt like, what do I have in my hands? I had to ask myself.
Right.
And immediately I had the answer, which is let's record some music and sell that EP. At that time, they were still in CDs.
Right.
Let's sell this to raise funds.
Yeah.
And we were, and I'm actually so thankful. I'm still friends with my team. Like two of the team that was on that project, they're here today.
Oh,
and we
special.
were working on that together.
Wow.
This was in when we were kids, teenagers, right? Or young adults. And I was so broke. But then we aimed to raise $5,000 and we ended up raising $17,000 in a month. And so that also became this, like what you said, this eye-opening experience to going actually what I used to think is impossible is now shifted, right? Yeah. And what little we have to offer actually can be catalyzed and can be used for so much good.
Yes.
So we didn't want to just raise the money and then transfer it over. So we went down to give the money.
Wow.
But similar to you, right? When I was there and then when I came back, I was not the same person.
Yeah.
In fact, when I came back to Singapore, I was depressed for 2 weeks because after all I had seen, I didn't know what to do with myself.
I understand.
It's like my whole worldview has shifted.
It's very ground shaking.
Yeah. So I mean, it was really quite an eye-opening experience, and I think I just wanted to say that I really resonated with that, and so on that foundation, I'm just wondering. Your profession and sort of the path that you were taking is a medical doctor, and every Asian parent will be like, that was their pride and joy, right? To say my daughter is a doctor. But you've then in a sense chosen to take a path that not many medical school students or typical Singaporean doctors might have taken. How was that received in your family, in your community?
Wow. Aiken. Where do I even start with this? Like, I mean, I remember, okay, so being a doctor, I mean, I think only recently in my late 30s, I had to grapple with the fact that actually being a doctor was not my dream. It was the dream of other people for me.
Wow.
So I'm the first doctor in many, many generations of both sides of the family. And so actually, when I was young, when I was growing up, I told my dad very, like in all earnestness that when I grow up, I'm going to be a painter. I'm going to be an artist. And my dad always told me the same thing. Jia, if you can do well in your studies, you do so well, you can choose anything you want to be. And I took that so literally, Aiken. So when I did my A-levels, I knocked everything out of the park. I had like 9 or 10 A1s and I went to my dad and I went like, I am ready for LaSalle.
Oh.
And it totally shocked my dad. My dad was like, no, this is not what I meant. He's like, no, this is not what I meant at all. I was like, you get 9 to 10 A1s, you're going to medical school. And I'm like, no, but you said. And he was like, no, that's not what I meant.
Oh, you thought it was your gateway to your creative freedom.
Exactly. I'm like, you said it.
Yeah.
You know? Yeah. So I felt like when he said,
go to medical school.
I couldn't argue with him. He said, well, if you are a doctor, you can still paint, but you can help people. But if you want to be a painter and later on you want to change your mind and help people like the way a doctor does, then you can't turn back the time. So I kind of took that and I went to medical school. But I mean, coming back to your question, I think when I finished medical school, and I think that was when I met my husband. Again, okay, his story and ours is, it's crazy. I married my online stalker. It's really weird.
We have to do an episode with both of you.
Oh my goodness, it's so crazy. Anyways, like I married
before the days of dating app.
Yeah, exactly. This is really, really weird.
Yeah.
Really weird. But anyways,
by the way, guys, it's a loving. Yeah, it's a great relationship. Yeah,
but because Cliff had been through a liver transplant, and then he went on to do an Ironman triathlon. I felt like, life was very short. And just shortly before he proposed, he had a liver crisis. And that was when I realized, wow, I can't just, chill and just tell myself, one day when I am rich and famous and when I've done everything I need to do in life, then I'll go and serve others. No, we decided we will get married and go.
Wow.
So I think shortly after I graduated, we were married for a year and we decided that we would go to Uganda. So I think that was the first...
What? Just, wow, really?
Yeah.
Get married and go to Uganda?
Yeah. We got married for 1 year and then, we decided to go.
I can imagine your friends and family must be like...
Yeah. Right. So this is the crazy part, Aiken. So this is the full circle thing. The thing is that at that time, everybody said I was committing career suicide. Because I had gotten I tried so hard, Aiken, to be an eye surgeon. Like, it's so difficult to get into ophthalmology. Yeah. And I felt like, I had already done the networking. I was like half foot through the door. And then suddenly, if we went, everybody told me, said, you're not going to get this chance again. Like, once you leave the system, it's very hard to come back. So this is career suicide. Essentially, if you're leaving, don't come back. And I remember it was such a difficult choice for me. But I felt like, you know what? When am I going to do this? There's always going to be a reason. And I don't know. I think Cliff's medical condition really gave me perspective. Because it helped me to embrace life for what it is every single day. And not to put something off to tomorrow if it can be done today.
Yes.
So we decided we would go. And I think that was a really good experience to not only get our feet wet, what it was like to serve in a developing country, but also I think it helped us communicate our values and our principles to the people around us, like our loved ones, our friends. And so that helped to, prepare them in a way.
Yes.
Yeah, but of course this time when last year when we decided to leave for Tanzania, I think the big difference was that we had kids.
Yeah.
So the shock was a lot more real. The naysayers and critics were a lot more direct. It was no longer, wow, you guys are very brave, or wow, you guys are so out of the box. It was really direct. It was, how can it be safe? How can you do this to your kids? How can you risk your husband's health? This is not right. It was very much more direct. And to be honest with you, those things were very hard to hear. Whether it was, online trollers or critics you don't know, or people that you actually do know who are related to you. It was a very difficult season. But also, I think when people challenge you, that's the most prime opportunity for you to wrestle with your internal values and to come to terms with what you truly believe in and wrestle and grasp with that till you get clarity.
Very good.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
And if you could just expound a little bit on that, because I think maybe it's hard for a lot of people to grasp. What are some of the very practical or nasty, even negative things that people have said about maybe some of your life decisions as a parent and as a professional through this time? Yeah. I don't mean to rehash them, but I just want to maybe expound on that, grappling with that. With that, and then to find that clarity.
Yeah, I understand, because I think the naysayers are real.
Yeah.
And I mean, something I always encourage people when they ask me so how do you come to this decision? I always want to tell them don't let the critics or the naysayers get to you. They should help to refine and clarify your vision.
Yes.
But don't let them get you down. But I mean, for a season, I was down.
Yeah.
When people said things like, you're very irresponsible to risk your husband's life, or you're very selfish to do this to your children's future. You are very self-centered to pursue what feels glamorous and honorable and altruistic to you to boost your fame at the expense of people who really matter to you. So these were some of the hard things that I had to listen
glamorous. I mean, from what I'm seeing, guys, have y'all? I mean, the naysayers. Are you even looking? Have y'all seen the reels? Have you seen the mud? I don't think the glamorous is the word we are. Well, but I mean,
Cliff likes to laugh at the irony, so he helps me find the lighthearted side of some of these comments. But
yeah. But I get what you're saying. The process is when I hear something like that, I can. For anyone watching, when I hear sort of that kind of criticism or feedback, what I do with it is that I can maybe take it, evaluate, and like you say, use it to refine.
Yeah.
How does one use it to refine, for what you did?
Wow. So, okay, Aiken, for this trip, we had to come back a week earlier.
Yeah.
And we came back a week earlier because my husband was not doing well. He had an undiagnosed fever for over a week, and we realized that there was no source that we could diagnose. I was bringing him to various kind of clinics to do tests because the main hospital couldn't run them. And then when we finally found those tests, we realized that they would take over a week to come back. And the medications were not working. He has a background of a liver transplant. In a very short amount of time, I had to decide, in the next 24 hours, are we going to leave and come back to Singapore? Because we had planned a trip back by that time. Or do I just wait it out? And I think it was during this time where things began to be very real. It's very funny. Since the day we married, I've always been rehearsing in my head how it would look like if one day I had to medically evacuate somebody from my family if we were in the field. And this was probably the closest that it got. And I remember when we flew from Tanzania all the way to Doha, we were in transit. And I really thank God that was when Cliff started to turn the corner, and I remember he hadn't eaten for so many days, and suddenly he's like, I feel like a KFC right now. I'm like, go for it, man.
Yeah.
At midnight, right? In Doha airport. So he was chomping on his KFC and I was blurry-eyed. I was checking my phone. And somebody on Instagram had written to me saying you are so irresponsible and, you're risking your husband's life and all that. And I'm like, okay, Cliff, you have to read this and, And I realized that, hey, you know what? This is a really good opportunity for me to clarify, bring clarity to myself even. Am I risking my husband's life? And I think one of the landing points that I have landed on at least is that, Cliff and I, we co-create our future together.
Yeah.
And we co-create our vision and our values together. And something that I've realized is that when it comes to taking risks as a family, we have to decide as a family. So even the decision to come back, even the decision to go, we actually involved not just each other, but our children at every single step.
Yeah.
And one of the most important things I've realized is that now that we have kids, Aiken, the kids are watching us like hawks all the time. We are teaching them things even when we don't realize it. And one thing I realized was that when Cliff and I make these decisions, and when we talk them out in front of them, and when we involve them, something that I really value and treasure is that over these years, they have echoed to us the fact that when we make these decisions, what they are learning are values of faith and risk and resilience put into action, where we weigh risks in a very real way, because with my medical background, I do know the risks in a very intimate way. And yet when we do move forward with a decision, it's made with not lightheartedness, but with a sense of the cost having been counted.
Wow.
And so when we move forward, our kids know that
Yeah.
this is what faith looks like in action.
Wow.
Not faith that is blind or foolhardy,
Yes.
but faith that has calculated the cost.
Yes.
And so I think this is something that
Wow.
I cannot impart to them
Yes.
through a textbook.
Exactly.
But through real life.
Yes.
Yeah.
And they're going to remember the situations, the instances,
Yeah.
and the context even to the many times that the faith moved physically and emotionally through you guys, right? Yeah.
That's what I hope.
Yeah.
That's what I hope.
That's amazing.
So I mean, rounding back to your question of like, how do you grapple with all these? I think it's really about coming to terms with what are the values and principles we live by.
Yeah.
Because, Aiken, you're a risk taker, right? What is risk? Risk is weighing the pros and cons. And with risk, there's always the element of uncertainty of the outcome.
Yeah.
Right? But actually, aren't we taking risks every day?
Absolutely.
Right?
Yeah.
I mean, we are sitting here. If
Yeah.
we are sitting here doing this interview, it means we're not doing something else.
Yes.
We're not pursuing something else.
Yeah.
And so it's a cost that we have paid
Yes.
to be here.
Absolutely.
Right? And so I think I want my kids to really think about this, that if they are pursuing something that their heart loves at the expense of something else, I want them to think about, yes, there is a cost to be paid. Sometimes that cost is safety or security. But what is the cost of not doing it? It's living in complete fear and paralysis of what could have been.
Yes.
And is that not a cost as well?
Exactly.
Yeah.
And not to mention in submission to people's opinions and their idea of what is right for you.
Yes.
Which is probably not, they're not living our lives, right?
Yeah. But that is so hard though,
Yes.
because in our culture, in our society, like hierarchy,
Yes.
the culture of honor.
Yes.
I mean, it's easy to say, but when you actually live it out, it's so hard.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, to also hold these comments and to hold them honorably, like you said, instead of with resentment
Yeah,
or
yeah.
accept them as criticism, right? Yeah.
True. That's very hard.
I'm going to bring us a bit back to maybe something like somebody may be watching and going like, actually, what does a humanitarian doctor do? Right? I mean, you've served in places like Uganda, you've served in all these developing countries, but on a day-to-day, I don't know if there's a day that looks the same, but could you tell us a little bit about what does your day look like?
Sure. Wow. I would say every day looks different.
Okay.
Every day looks different because we're living in a developing country context.
Yeah.
So I'll give you the contrast.
Okay.
What people want to see in the humanitarian doctor kind of like outlook.
Okay.
What they enjoy seeing is the saving lives, saving communities.
Yeah.
And honestly, I think the closest I got to that was during my deployment during the COVID-19 outbreak, where I was deployed by World Health Organization and United Nations as a risk communication consultant. And that I felt like, wow, I really felt I was in my element. Like I celebrated my 35th birthday there.
Wow.
And I took this photo in a UNICEF jacket.
Wow.
And I had this like come full circle moment, because when I was 17 and I wrote in my medical school applications, I actually said, I really hope that one day I can do something useful with the United Nations. And so it came to pass.
Yeah.
So that's the glamorous part.
Yeah.
Right? But the unglamorous part is that, we spend a lot of our time fixing things.
Okay.
So the car is 25 years old and it breaks down every other week.
Yeah.
The home that we stay in, the windows don't close fully, so it feels very permeable. And Africa is East Africa in particular is a colorful, loud place. So can you sleep through the night? Can you bear with noise and traffic and dogs that bark incessantly, things like that? Or just day to day, are you comfortable with the idea of hearing about a new outbreak every other month, for example? And so. And are you okay with no hot water? Are you okay with water with no pressure? Are you okay coming home discovering that there's no power in the house today and you don't know when it'll come back on? Right? These are things that we live with. Or coming home realizing that you were at a gathering and your friend told you that a close friend's house was burglared. These are everyday things. And I think these are actually the things that send people home. So if there was one thing I wished that people knew about humanitarian work, is that it's not just about the accolades. Because I don't know about you, but when we were growing up, we were told like, if you want to do good for the world, study hard.
Yeah.
And so I went to do my Masters of Public Health at Hopkins. I thought, my mentor was like, the world's best, the world's poorest deserves the world's very best. And I was like, okay, I'll do it. But then he didn't tell me that also, you need to be prepared for all of this.
Yeah.
Because this will send you home faster than any of your accolades can hold you there.
Yeah. And in terms of like the work of serving the community, does that have like a certain fixed work, or like is it exploring as well and developing and growing as well?
So that's a very good question. I feel like, when you're with an organization that's very structured, like the United Nations or something, then of course you have a very clear job description and you just roll with it. I love that. There's structure, there's a vision, there's like KPIs. I just hit the ground running. I was so happy in those 6 weeks that I was in Swaziland.
Yeah.
But then when it comes to, us now living in Tanzania, I think a lot of the work is discovery. It's about building relationships. Like even this year where we started to gain momentum in terms of training community leaders or schools in terms of health training.
Yeah.
Like it didn't come because we had a plan. And I know so much and I impart to you. No, it wasn't like that. We spent months and months getting to know the landscape. Like a lot of times I would wake up and then the morning would be spent, driving for hours to a village and then meeting the village leader, learning about how they live, seeing what are the kinds of community health initiatives that they have started. And actually, local people are way more resourceful than us. They know how to build a smart stuff from nothing. They know how to, build, they call it like it's a ventilated, improved pit latrine. So they call it VIP.
Right.
It's actually a hole in the ground, but there's a certain technology to it that makes sure the house flies don't come up.
Wow.
Yeah. So it's about learning what they already have and learning to partner them with that.
Wow.
So even the recent first aid training that I conducted for Tanzanian teachers, like my husband, it was Cliff who pointed out to me. He said, "Hey, Wai Jia, actually, what I got out of this was that it took you that much time to understand the culture, to engage local cultural myths, because you could roll out the first aid training, but people might not actually implement it because they have their own set of beliefs.
Yes.
But it's only through knowing the people and living with them that you really understand. And this brings me back to Nepal.
Yeah.
I was just thinking, why do the house parents need to give up their comfortable lives back where they were from?
Yeah.
And they always told me this. They said, we believe, and I mean, everybody believes differently, but they felt that they needed to give up their lives to live with the girls, to make a long-lasting impact.
Yeah.
And so I think that's something that Cliff and I have held on to, because it's through living that you really understand what they're facing day to day.
I just caught myself in that Singaporean moment of, because like in our culture, it is so almost expected that you have to sort of have an answer and a structure and a ROI and a report of what you're doing, So it's like everyone wants to box you in really quickly. It's like when I ask that, I'm like, people need to have the idea of like, okay, we got this project, we got this system, this is what we're doing, and it yielding whatever results. But actually what you've just mentioned is so important, and it's actually so human, because just to build the relationship, just to build the community, to understand the context in which you are serving, so that you can serve effectively, as opposed to imposing whatever as if like I'm here to save your land and your world, right? Like these things are so nuanced, and it takes so much effort and time to be on the ground and to be in the land amongst the people. Not just to go and start your own program with your own name and whatever, So I appreciate you sharing that, because I think that sometimes a lack of sort of that reporting answer that we are so used to in Singapore gives us way to really like understand and explore and practice what it means to be a human being, what it means to connect with communities. And that is actually true and valuable impact beyond the reporting of, I did like XXX health checkups at XXX consults and whatever. So thank you so much for sharing that. I think that again, like I'm a byproduct as well of this society and this community. So it's very natural to be like, okay, what does a humanitarian doctor do? Is it like GP in Singapore? And like, they have a version of that in, blah, blah, blah. Or is it emergency? And like everyone wants to categorize very, very quickly.
Right.
And they want to sort of like label very fast.
But even as you're sharing that, Aiken, I also think that is a strength. Like, to be able to organize and to have structure to something, that's also a strength.
Yeah.
But I think it was just, it's just that through this process, I've been very humbled to realize that actually they don't need me.
Wow.
They don't need me.
Yeah.
I mean, who am I to think that I'm better in any way? And actually, Cliff's recent health scare, his recent health crisis made us realize this. And it was that we're not better than anybody else. We're not more altruistic, more ethical, more moral, nothing. We got to do this. We got to. Because when we were at the clinic, seeing one of the infectious disease specialists, the doctor actually told us and said, if Cliff's enzyme markers don't come down, there's a possibility you'll have to be here for many more months and that you may not be able to go back to serve long term. And then we had the wake-up call. We got to do this. It's our privilege. It's not their privilege to have us. No.
Yeah.
It was our privilege that we got to go. Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
That truly is amazing. And what a shift. I wanted to ask on a very practical level as well.
Sure.
Sort of the differences being in the field, being in another country versus like the very comfortable Singapore that we're in.
Yeah.
What are some of the very practical differences or to your experience like that maybe we can't even imagine over here?
Wow. It's funny because on the first day we landed in Singapore, we were downstairs, the HDB flat. And 4 of us, we just held hands. And we all had this wow moment. It was so funny. We didn't say a word, but we all were thinking the same thing. We just held hands downstairs and we were like, wow. Pavements, sidewalks, the ground is flat. Because back home, like, the dirt roads, they're so muddy. It's a rainy season, and every time you're in a vehicle, you're like holding on because it's so uneven, and the car needs to be fixed every other week because of that kind of damage. I wish my kids were here. You could ask them because they will tell you so refreshingly that water here is so constant. You can drink from the tap. You can come home and there's always power. There's always a predictability about things. Whereas over there, I remember one day I opened the door with a key and half of it got stuck. Oh. So I mean, it broke.
Yeah.
But wear and tear is such a day-to-day experience. And so I think the unpredictability element is very high. And when I came back, more than a handful of people asked me, they said, is it safe there? And so I think the overarching consuming narrative that I think we have here in Singapore, I'm not saying it's wrong, I'm saying it's different, is that safety and security is primary. But when you're over there, I realized that if we continue to hold on to that, we will constantly be like fearful and alarmed and dysregulated. So we always remind ourselves that yes, there is an element of uncertainty and lack of safety, lack of security, but also there is a huge sense of purpose. And I think it's that sense of purpose that continues to draw us and bind us as a family and helps us to live with gratitude.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
I want to get into all your creative work and all that, but before we move to that, what would you say to somebody who is watching and perhaps they similarly like you have sort of had to fall in line in terms of the education, their family's expectations, but they have such a deep desire to break out of those boxes.
Wow.
And it's difficult. What would you say now that you're a bit further down that road?
Wow. I'm such a dreamer, Aiken.
That's great.
I would say, keep dreaming. Keep dreaming because you just never know where that little dream will take you. And it's the little steps that count. A lot of people, they look at someone big and they think, it's one big quantum leap.
Yeah.
But I think it's the little decisions that bring you to that big decision.
Yes.
So I'll give you an example.
Yeah.
When I was growing up, in high school. It's so funny. I think I joked with you, but it was true actually. So I would sometimes sleep on the floor from time to time.
Oh yes,
like
you told me
overnight.
this.
Yeah, because I know you asked me like what were the things I did to prepare myself. So this is very, like
You would just sleep on the floor to get used to
some degree of
get a feel.
hardship.
Yeah.
Or like not sleep with AC, something very small, something very like practical, right?
Yeah.
Or when we got married, we just decided, you know what, we're not going to rush to buy a house straight away or to buy a car or buy big things to tie us down. Or just even the person you date. So actually, it's not the one quantum leap that brings you to where you want to go.
Wow.
It's all these little decisions that you make every day. That one day in your mid-30s, you're like, I can't do it.
Yes.
I've got too many things tying me down. I'm just like that. I've developed to a different person. Or all those little decisions build up to something, and then one day there's that catalytic moment and you go, I am ready. I prepared my whole life for this. Now's the time to go. I'm doing it.
Wow.
Yeah.
I love that. I love that. You've constantly aligned your decisions, big or small, to the dream that you've had. Yeah. And on that note, perfect segue, but on that note, right? So I now have a bit more context as to how come you are so creative, which is something that's always been there. And now to me, I'm like, okay, she's creative first, then doctor second, in fact. Because everyone will look at you and be like, humanitarian doctor and all these big titles first, but actually all the while you've been a creative. So how have you been able to use the many avenues of creative gifts that you have for expression, but also for good and purpose in your life?
Wow, Aiken. You know, I have so much respect for creatives. You know, people like you, I mean, your team here who's
Thank
doing
you.
the videography and all that. I have so much respect because to me, you guys are so brave. It's so funny because you keep telling me, right? Why you're so brave, you're so brave. I'm like, no, you guys are the brave ones. You guys went out of the box. You decided that, you know what? I'm going to go against the grain. This is going to be my livelihood.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to let anyone tell me I cannot. And it's your life. You are the entrepreneur. You are the creative. And so I look up so much to creatives.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, because we did not do well for math and science and got berated for it.
And why do you have to, right?
Yeah.
Why
but still, made good of our creativity.
Yeah. And I think the funny thing is, I don't think I intentionally made it that way. It's just that I had nothing else. When I was 18 and the house fell apart in Nepal, like, what could I do?
Right.
I could only draw cartoons.
Right.
And then, so this is the funny thing. So after I graduated from Johns Hopkins, you know, I thought, now I have my title, I've got my degree, I'm like here with the big guns. And then boom, COVID-19 happened. And I'm like, oh, I don't know what to do. But I have all my degrees. I'm like, shouldn't I be useful? But I didn't know what to do because I come home as a new mom. I was still nursing my baby. My husband is immunocompromised. I'm like, can I really be frontline in the outbreak? I don't know. And one day, my supervisor, he texted me in the lift and he's like, hey, Wai Jia, you know the migrant worker outbreak is that there's a huge outbreak. Like, can you, I know you draw. Can you draw some health booklets for us? Translate them into different languages. And I remember standing in the lift and I scoffed at it. I was like, and Cliff, he's like telepathic. He's always reading over my shoulder. He's like, and he's like, Wai Jia, I know what you're thinking. And then he drew out his devotional, and he said that day, the verse of the day was, whatever your hand finds to do, do it with all your might. And he's like, this verse is for you.
Oh.
You are supposed to do this.
Oh.
And I was like, no. And he's like, yeah, do it. It's like, you too proud?
Ooh.
Yeah. I mean, Cliff is he's like...
He sharpens you.
Oh,
I can see why you're married.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, he is the reason behind a lot of the things that I do.
That's amazing.
But then it was that I started drawing.
Yeah.
And I felt so small. I'm like, I'm a doctor. I have an MPH. Can I do more? But it was through those drawings, through translating them. I just drawing cartoons, nothing fancy.
Right.
Then one day, the WHO chairman of the steering committee in Singapore contacts me and he's like, are you the professional cartoonist? I need you on my team. And I'm like, no, I'm a doctor. Can you use me? And he's like, good, I'll put you in charge of all the risk communication in the west side of Singapore. And then after that, he connected. That was the key connection to WHO and UNICEF.
Oh my god.
Not through my accolades, not through because I was so smart or
Oh
anything.
my
No. Through drawing those cartoons. The cartoons that I didn't want to draw because I was too proud to do it.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
So it's wow. This is like messing with my mind because it's like you admitted that okay lah, I'm above this, right? Why do I have to doodle for such a big work? Is there more that I can do? But it was the very thing of that very gift, using that very gift of creativity in the first place that opened the doors.
Yeah. And so that's why I never, now I don't look down on creativity as a gift. And that's why I hold so much admiration for creatives.
Wow.
Because you're just putting your whole self out there all the time, believing 100% in what you do. It's not a side hustle. It's not a hobby. No, it is what you do, and you're putting your whole self authentically on the plate for the world to see. And that, I think, is the power of being a creative.
Yeah. So for the visual art stuff, the drawing, the children's book, was it? And then for the calligraphy, can you tell us a little bit more about the calligraphy? Like, how come suddenly, was that part of the whole picture as well?
That is so funny. So I think someone once asked me, do you draw or do you do calligraphy in your free time? Is it like your hobby? And the funny thing is that I can't do art without a purpose.
Okay.
So even the picture books, like the 4 picture books, every one of them was behind a purpose. One was to raise funds for the home. The other one was to raise awareness about eating disorders and etc. The calligraphy, the impetus for that was that I used to run a non-profit in Singapore. I had to close it before we went to Tanzania. But I remember I had this huge sum to raise.
Okay.
And I had no idea how to do it. I mean, I had staff to feed at that time.
Yes.
And I was like, I can't let them down. Like, what do I do? Just disappear? And one day I just had this idea. I remember I was at church and I was just in tears. I was like crying. I was like, I don't know what to do. And then I had this idea. Oh, how calligraphy? And I'm like, no, I hated calligraphy. like when I was 5, like my parents, so this was one of the Chinese boomer things that I had to do. One of the check boxes, okay? You must learn piano, you must learn science, and then you must do calligraphy.
Wow.
So every Sunday morning, instead of going out to play or whatever, since I was age of 4.5, I would have to do calligraphy for 9 a.m. to 1 p.m.
No way.
Every Sunday, every single Sunday, rain or shine, public holiday.
That's like 4-5 hours eh?
Yes. And at the end of the session, I would just have a lot of red circles. It's not like, well done, this is so great. It's circle, then we write again.
To point out the errors.
Because it's not perfect.
Oh.
Not perfect.
Okay.
So circle. And the whole aim is that the aim that I perceived.
Yes.
I don't want to say like anybody like imposed it on me or anything, but I perceived at that time was that you must win champion for the national calligraphy competition. So I trained for that.
Oh my God.
Yeah. And then I think when I was 12, was it when I was 12?
I'm really getting the vibe of your Asian household and upbringing. Yeah.
So
yeah.
When I was 12, I got champion. And I decided, you know what? I don't want to do this anymore. So I stopped. I stopped and I decided I'm not gonna write. But then in my mid-30s, I realized that, oh my goodness, I can do this, but you know what? I'm gonna do it my way.
Okay.
So I chose characters I wanted to write and I changed the whole font. Like now it's very free flow, it's freestyle. I'm not forced to write those tiny characters which I hated. I write like 1 meter. My favorite ones are the 1 by 1 meter characters. Yeah. And I write what I want. I write the synopsis. I write what I think I feel inspired by. And that helped to raise like I can't remember the exact number, but something like 70,000 for the non-profit at the time.
That's amazing.
And I think to myself, oh no, it's not because I'm good. Like when I look at my work, I'm like, I'm not an expert, that's for sure.
Okay.
But it was so liberating for me to be in touch with who I was made to be, because now I could fully emerge as my authentic self. And I don't know about you, Aiken, but I've noticed that even in your own journey, like through therapy and through just being who you are, like mid-30s is such a beautiful season to allow our true self to emerge.
Yes.
Like all the boxes that we were hemmed in by.
Absolutely.
Now it's the unboxing and it's the discovery.
Absolutely.
And it's the recreation.
Yes.
And I love that.
Yeah.
That excites me.
Absolutely. Yeah. It's the reason why I do something like this.
Exactly.
Right?
Exactly. It's you.
Yeah.
It's so you.
And I love that. It's like reclaiming something that was yours.
Reclaiming, I love that word. Yeah,
Right? Because
absolutely.
calligraphy is part of your childhood.
Yeah, it
so
was a
much.
bad part.
And a bad part.
But now I recovered it
That's
and I reclaimed it as my
amazing.
own, just like you.
Yes. Absolutely.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So how when you approach this, right, and you have the idea,
Yeah.
and you're like, okay, I have this goal to fundraise.
Yeah.
What are your feelings towards it? Is it just like, okay, let me just I know it's gonna work, or is it just like, just try and see how, or like, I confirm hit the target, or like what goes through your mind?
Oh my goodness, Aiken, there is so much heartache in it.
Huh? Why?
Like tears,
Oh,
like real
okay,
tears.
okay.
Because, like when you have a dream
Yeah.
and your heart longs so much for it,
Yeah.
the journey to get there is so hard. Like I think to myself, I want to do that. The vision that I had was that the calligraphy would be in public space
Yeah.
for ordinary people to come and be drawn in
Okay.
and to be inspired.
Yeah.
And I needed to do a trailer, like something so simple. It's just a trailer. I mean, your team could do it like in half a day. Like you guys are so creative. I didn't know where to start. I said, okay, you know what? I'm going to set aside $6,000 for this whole project. And I was so shocked when I met this amazing, amazing videography team. They too caught the vision. And so one day they showed up at my house. They're like, we're going to film today. And because of my budget, I thought they were going to send 2 men to my house to film. They sent an 8-man crew.
Wow.
Aiken, and the invoice?
Yeah.
It was 38,000.
Wow.
And they waived it off.
Oh my.
Not because they had a lot of money to throw or
Yeah.
to spend, but because they really felt for it. And later on, a year later, when I visited their office, I realized that they had downsized because they wanted to save $1,000 off every month. And I cried, Aiken, because I could have paid for that.
Wow.
But they said, no, this is something we wanted to do.
Wow.
Other creatives, upholding other creatives, you know.
Yeah.
And then there was a problem of me filming. At the time of filming, I don't even know if I had a venue confirmed yet. And I'm thinking, I don't know all these big people in high places. How am I going to get a venue? And it was so late because all this spontaneity is, it doesn't, you don't have a timeline. And I remember going to speak to someone. And I remember there was huge miscommunication, Aiken. I remember, feeling so heavy-hearted. I was something like $20,000 short. And I remember going to that meeting, speaking to this donor, that's the sponsor. And I was so heavy-hearted. Cliff was telling me, Wai Jia, you gotta believe in this,
Yeah.
And just as he said that, a truck drove in front of us, and on the truck were the words Faith Logistics. It's actually a real company, Faith Logistics.
Yeah.
And the word faith dropped at the moment when I said, Cliff, God, I really need more faith. And then zoom, it went there. I still have that photo
That's
in
amazing.
my phone. And because of that, right, I went to that meeting feeling so hopeful, but I was devastated
Okay.
because they told me that due to certain requirements I didn't meet, either I had to depart from my artistic vision and follow their criteria and get the money, or I had to let go of the money.
Ayo.
And I was speechless, Aiken, because the artistic vision to me is something that's very pure, it's very secret.
Yes.
And so I said I couldn't deviate from it.
Yeah.
And so I left, right? I remember I was sitting on the steps downstairs,
Oh no.
and like this lorry truck uncle, not the same lorry, another lorry.
Yeah.
It's like, because I was crying, it's like, hey, Xiao Mei Mei, you okay or not? And I was like, oh my goodness, like, this is so embarrassing. But that night, I remember Cliff and I had this moment, and I told Cliff, I said, why do you keep journeying with me through all these like very silly or naive kind of dreams? Like, it's so silly. Maybe I shouldn't have embarked on it in the first place. Now I don't know how to pay all these people and the vendors, and maybe it's just let it go, And Cliff is always like, no, Wai Jia. He's like, no. And this is the funny part, because at that time he was a stay-at-home dad. He said, Wai Jia, if no one will pay for you, I will pay for you.
Wow.
Then I look at him and say, with my money, is it? But we've always believed everything is shared,
Yes,
right? Everything
yes,
is shared.
yes.
I get to do what I do because he was, and I was also stay at home for a while to
Yeah.
support what he did. So,
Yeah.
But anyway, the long and short of it was that I think it was the next night, the next evening, I got the email and they said, and from the same people, and they said that actually the miscomm was our part. So we're going to take responsibility.
Whoa.
And we're going to give you the money anyways.
Turn around.
Yeah, turn around.
So good.
Turn around.
I love that.
So when you ask me, I kind of how how is the journey like to dream, right? It's full of cliffhangers, full of tears, full of heartache.
Yeah.
But we do it anyway because we
Yes.
believe in the purpose behind it.
Absolutely.
Right?
I love that you shared that you shared it so wonderfully, because I think that no amount of experience and practice and exposure takes away the fear and the doubt from the next one, you know?
Yeah.
It always feels like a gamble.
And it always feels like the first time.
Yes,
right?
yeah.
Nobody.
But actually in those moments and in those situations,
Right.
it truly is where the van needs to pull up and the word faith will come into to play, right? Because you have that opportunity to exercise that faith.
Yeah.
Again, rather than to be like, oh, okay, you know, it's gonna be fine. It's like each of this uncertainty gives us maybe an opportunity to exercise that faith again, rather than to just fall into that safety. Yeah, and I want to thank you for sharing that, because each time with your creative expression, you put your art, you put your vision, you put your soul out there, especially through a creative medium, and it is difficult, but I think your stories, plural, have shown us that it's worth to try. It's worth to take that small step, and it's worth to dream.
Yes. Yes, absolutely.
To dream and then to take that small step.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
That's amazing. And I if our audience is watching, Wai Jia documents a lot of this in her book called
Dream Brave.
Dream Brave. Absolutely. And it's such a perfect title, because it's like story upon story of how you have dream brave, but also then saw a lot of these dreams come true. Yeah. And so if you guys want to read that I had the best time listening to it. Most of the time my jaw was on the floor. I was like, wow, I can't believe this happened for you, and I can't believe how the story turned. And it always turned in such a good way, you know?
Wow.
Yeah, so I was very, very inspired by that. So along with the flow of creative exploits, the latest is stand-up comedian. When you first told me, right, I remember on Zoom, I was like, huh? I expected a whole range of other things, but stand-up comedian was not on my list.
Yes.
And I remember telling you, you are so brave. It is truly dream bravely, right? And live bravely so. Because to me, stand-up comedy is like a very brutal form of feedback. Because you get immediate feedback,
it's
right?
true, it's true.
Yeah. So I'm just so curious, like, what made you think of stand-up comedy?
Wow. And at the time of this recording, it's going to be like this weekend.
Yeah! It's called Dragon.
It's called Dragon Lady. It's called Dragon
I'm
Lady.
laughing
So, you know, the poster and the title, everything, it's all come up by Cliff.
Oh, he called you Dragon Lady?
No. He called the show Dragon Lady. He's like, Wai Jia, you should totally do this.
Okay.
Yeah. So actually, he's a mastermind behind this.
I see.
So you can see the common thread in my life, right? That he's really the one who's always pushing me out of my comfort zone.
Cliff, we need to talk.
Yeah, I mean, one day there was an
That's great.
auntie who brought Dream Brave, and then he went up to Cliff and she said this to him, into Cliff's face, in front of me. This book is actually all about you. You are the hero.
Oi.
And it's true. It's true.
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
true because he's always making me push boundaries.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
So wait, you're saying stand-up comedy is his idea?
Okay, so this is how it started. So shortly after I was in the field, unfortunately or fortunately, I was diagnosed with complex post-traumatic stress disorder. And I think one of the things that I seriously had to grapple with in therapy was to find something that was creative for me to hold on to and to focus on. That's when I started writing jokes. Because I realized that as I started to write jokes, there was a certain reclaiming of agency. When you can laugh at your trauma, there is a certain level of healing.
Amen.
And so,
Yes.
actually, this wouldn't have happened. I mean, it was another series of miracles that, you know, a stranger that we didn't even know sponsored our trip back and all of that. But partly because of that, Cliff said, hey, you know, do you want to gather a group of people and share our stories from the field? And I'm like, why? I don't want to tell people sad stories about car breaking down and things like that. I'm like, I want to tell it in a funny way. So he said, okay, then, you know, 10, 15 minutes, just do it. And then I took him very seriously. I said, okay, I'm going to do the best jokes for 10, 15 minutes. But the more I wrote, I realized that it was a 1.5 hours.
Wow.
And Cliff was like, oh no, you have to make it a real thing now. It's called Dragon Lady.
Ooh.
And I was like, no. I said, Clifford, no. It's not a real show. It's just going to be like casual friend. And it's like, no, it's a real show. I'm event coordinator. I'm in charge. You just focus on the script.
Yeah.
So we pared it down to 1 hour. So it's like really tight. And one thing led to another. And we decided that, you know what? And then a friend stepped in and said, I'm going to sponsor your outfit. And I was like, oh my goodness, this is real now. I can't back out.
Yeah.
And so I did a poll on Instagram. I said, what new thing would we be embarking on? And 2% voted stand-up comedy.
Exactly.
So I told Cliff, I said, just release 50 tickets. But he released 100 and less than 48 hours, 100 was snapped. So he released another 100 and the same thing. So it released another 100. So now that's how it happened.
Wait, so how many tickets have sold out?
Over 300.
My!
I mean, it maxed out the venue. But I always joke. I say it's not because I'm good. I mean, it's my debut, right? It's just because people are awesome. People are so nice.
Oh, wow.
Right? People are so kind.
How are you feeling? This is the week of the show. How are you feeling right now?
I'm very excited.
That's great.
Yeah, I can't wait.
I remember when you put that poll up, because I had already known, right, what you were going to do. But I was like, I bet you, just like me, no one would be guessing that you are going to do stand-up comedy.
Everyone voted we're going to have a third baby.
Yeah. And true enough, like it's a baby of sorts, right? Like it's an art form, and in that sense, like a lot of our art forms feels like our babies. But that is so cool, and I have to applaud you for your courage. Like I do think this is one of those mediums that is like, oh my gosh, this would make me, like, especially like when it comes to media, I think, and performing arts, very few things will make me super nervous. But I think stand-up comedy now, okay lah, maybe dancing lah. Okay, there are a lot of things that will make me nervous, but definitely what I'm trying to say is stand-up comedy is really up there lah. Yeah.
I was gonna ask you to MC with me, but I know you're busy flying off. Yeah.
Yeah, I would like MC I can, but then to be the stand-up.
I was almost gonna ask if you would do my opening act if you weren't flying around. Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, you'd be a natural.
That would be, yeah. That's it. Like just the thought of it, I'm already like my palms are sweaty. Yeah. So I salute you. I salute you for real. And I can't wait to see how it goes.
Thank you.
I can't wait till you are a touring stand-up comedian. Because you really never know. You just never know.
One step at a time.
Yeah,
one baby step at a time. Yeah.
Yes. So, Wai Jia, from the outside, it seems like, every time I want to give you a label, I want to put you in a box, you break out of it very colorfully and unexpectedly. And you now live a life that's so much more than the Singaporean dream. In fact, like some might say you live the opposite of the Singaporean dream, right? All of this, like growing, expressing yourself. Is it something that you are like very intentional about, or it just comes to you naturally? And do you sort of have a process for all of this, like doing things that are so different? Wow.
As you ask that question, I can only think of one word, and it's growth.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't think there's any. I don't intentionally think like I'm going to be an artist. I'm going to do an exhibition. I'm going to be a stand-up comedian. No. I think it's just through the journey of self-discovery. Like, how in our mid-30s, we're both undergoing therapy. We're both discovering new things about ourselves and letting that new self emerge through a process of self-discovery.
Yes.
And I think that's where the unboxing comes in, right? Even for yourself, like you always try new things, always, thinking about ways to connect with yourself more authentically so that you can give your most authentic self and your best to the world around you. Yeah. So I think all these expressions are just an expression of that.
Right.
Yeah. Like for you too.
I love that. Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
Because I think so many times we look at what you say, the titles and the accolades and all that, and then we maybe think that we have to sort of throw that big vision out and then work tirelessly towards that. But actually, the small different points of growth actually lead to a lot of beautiful sort of off-roads to all these like creative expressions, creative endeavors, and therefore like gives us a more meaningful and colorful life. Yeah. And so on that note, I really want to thank you for dreaming bravely and then living out those small decisions so that we can all be witness to the flourishing of your life, your family. I think it's so refreshing, and not just refreshing, but so important that in a Singaporean society where everything is already paved up for you from the day that you're born with all these expectations, that we have a physical reference like yours and Cliff's to say, I can choose a life that is different. I can choose a life that is colorful and so purposeful and so meaningful. And you've shown us that it is possible.
Wow.
Yeah. So
thank you so much, Aiken.
thank you for making those decisions. I'm
you.
thoroughly inspired, and I was telling my team that I would love to go down to Tanzania to just see and like hang out with you, make a video to see what life is like, visit the place.
Absolutely.
But my final question is for everybody who feels sort of like committed to that box or stuck in the box, what would you say to them who are watching?
Wow. I would say, if you feel like you're stuck in a box, just open it.
Yes!
Just open it
Yeah.
and just pop out for a while. Step out of it. And maybe you like what you see. And if you don't, give yourself permission to go back in.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah. But take a look. Just take a look.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And man, look at what happened when she took a peek out of that box. Wow, what a life and what a story. Thank you so much for being here.
It was so much my pleasure and privilege.
You know, off camera when we talk, I think there's still so much more we want to talk about.
Yeah.
We talk about overcoming trauma, healing. We talk about so many things, right?
Education. Yeah, in Singapore.
Yeah. So I think for us, it's just the start.
Yeah.
And right now, we're just about to go film Wai Jia's interview of me. So you have to go check that out on her channel as well. Yeah, Wai Jia, thank you so much for being here. I really appreciate it.
Thank you so much, Aiken. You're really inspiring too.
Thank you.